If your GTM strategy is built on cold outbound alone in 2026, you've got a timer on your back. Here's why. Outbound can get you in the room, but it can't carry the weight of trust, proof, and authority by itself. Not anymore. Buyers are savvier. Every cold email you send triggers a background check. They Google your website, they look at your socials, and they decide in seconds if you're a legit player or just another company with a keyboard and a Clay account. If prospects don't validate the promise in your email, they're out before the conversation even starts. But when it's plugged into a smart content system that amplifies trust, pre-sells your prospects, and compound reach, then you've got a real growth engine. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 strategic layers that could turn your outbound from a cold, brittle channel into a warm, self-compounding GTM machine. I'm Matt Salesio, founder of Hive. We build GTM content engines that integrate outbound, YouTube, SEO, and B2B personal brands into unified systems that do one thing: pre-sell your prospects and shorten sales cycles before sales even hits the conversation. And chances are your competitors aren't doing this either, which means you've got a clear shot at out-positioning them in your prospect's inbox. Picture it. A buyer gets 2 cold emails from 2 SaaS companies. Same offer, same price, same timeline. They Google both. One has a bare bones landing page, a sketchy logo wall, and a Calendly link. The other, it's got a clean site with a founder front and center, consistent YouTube content, blogs that speak directly to their pain points. Which one do you think gets the meeting? Exactly. Okay, let's get into it. Layer 1, control versus compounding. Outbound gives you control. That's its strength. You can turn the faucet on and flood your calendars with activity. But what happens when you stop sending emails? Everything dies. There's no residual energy, no trust trail, no ongoing discovery. And that's because outbound is linear. Effort in, outcome out. But strategic content, well-placed content, that's exponential. So let me show you what I mean. A YouTube video that I made 5 months ago continues to generate demo calls today because that video was mapped to a problem-aware buyer, seeded with objection handling narratives, and it was keyword optimized to rank both in AI search and on YouTube. So I built it once and now it works daily. The biggest mistake that I see founders make is using outbound and content as separate growth levers. They're not. They're 2 ends of the same spectrum. Outbound captures attention while content shifts beliefs, pre-handles objections, and warms up your pipeline all before the demo even starts. If you're relying on outbound to do all 3, you're asking a one-dimensional tool to perform a 3-dimensional job, and it's not built for that. Outbound should be the traffic trigger, not the trust layer. The trust comes from what prospects find after they click. Layer 2, the proof layer. Open and reply rates matter, but they only get you to the starting line. What actually converts is what the prospect sees when they engage, after they engage. It's your brand, your content, your authority. If your proof layer is missing or weak, even the best outbound will quietly die on the vine. This is where most agencies and early stage founders get exposed, because what the buyer sees after they click is the credibility layer. It's your digital proof of work. And this is where your YouTube, SEO, and AEO, so answer engine optimization, content strategy, all of this becomes lethal. In my system, every outbound message assumes one thing: they're gonna check me out. So I build content to make that trust transfer happen, not a trust gap. Here's how it works using my company Hive as an example. I cold email a decision maker and they search Hive Agency or Matt Salesio. What they're gonna find is a polished YouTube channel, consistent blogs that are optimized and ranking on problem-aware terms, and a site that actually says something valuable. Now compare that to a founder that has nothing but a Calendly link, a landing page, and a handful of dusty LinkedIn posts. Who wins that subconscious buying moment? Every content asset you publish is a silent salesperson working behind the scenes. That's the proof layer. It's where 90% of outbound strategies fail. You're not being judged on just your email. You're being judged on your entire ecosystem. I work with clients who have so many client wins or work they've helped clients with, yet they never document it. These are the content pieces that could be the final push that your prospect needed to book a call. Document your wins, your case studies, YouTube video walkthroughs. These are the B2B mediums every B2B company should be publishing. It's non-negotiable. Now, if you actually want to build a content engine that pre-sells pipeline and not just gets views, I dropped the exact GTM content blueprint that we use for ourselves and our clients. It's free, it's designed for B2B teams, and it'll save you from posting how-to fluff that never converts into something that actually moves the needle for booking calls. I've linked it in the description below. Anyways, layer 3, the messaging mesh. This is where content and outbound start to multiply instead of run parallel. What I call the messaging mesh is the tight alignment between what your outbound says and what your ecosystem proves. When someone reads your cold email, then clicks into a blog, then watches a YouTube channel, the narrative arc needs to be seamless, not just in tone, but in pain point, language, system, and transformation. And here's how we execute this here at Hive. Outbound messages are written on the same pain point segmentation that we use for our content pillars. So if we're doing this for a client, we get a deep understanding of how they're currently running their GTM and their outbound to make sure that we're aligned. But anyways, this is internal for us at this example. So here's what we're doing. Those pillars map directly to our 4 core services: content marketing, AEO, BizOps, and founder personal brand strategy. And for each service, we publish these: short form and long form YouTube videos, blog clusters, so topical, keyword-based thought leadership, and then also LinkedIn organic posts. The goal, when someone hits one touch point, they immediately feel like you understand their problem. You've solved it before, and you have a structured, proven system. Most founders and B2B teams create content for the sake of visibility. You need to create content to collapse uncertainty, to get in your prospect's mind and overcome the same objections and limiting beliefs you hear time and time again on your sales calls or in your negative email replies. If your content isn't saying the same thing that your outbound is saying, you're sending your prospect into a fog machine, and they're confused why prospects never convert. Layer 4, frictionless reversals. Here's where the strategy becomes psychological. The job of outbound is no longer just to get replies, it's to initiate a shift in belief. When a cold prospect receives your email and decides to look you up, you want them to go from "who is this?" to "why don't we already work with this person?" And this is how. Every outbound sequence that we write includes a soft entry point to deeper insight. A YouTube video that speaks directly to the stage they're at in the buying journey, whether they're unaware or solution aware. Maybe we have a blog post that breaks down the exact issue that they're hiring for. And this creates a pull dynamic. Now your prospect isn't being pushed into a sales conversation, they're being pulled into a discovery spiral. And because this ecosystem is tight, they emerge from that spiral way warmer than when they entered. And that's how you get cold leads showing up to your calls saying, "Hey, I already watched your breakdown. I read your GTM framework post. This is exactly what we need. How does this work?" You didn't sell, you structured belief. Layer 5, the feedback flywheel. This is the part where your outbound supercharges your content. Outbound isn't just for lead gen, it's market research at scale. Every reply that you get, even the one saying not interested, is data. Which CTA triggered the most opens? Which pain points got a reply? We collect those inputs and plug them directly into content creation. The outbound email that got the best reply rate becomes the next headline for your YouTube video. The objection you hear twice in the same week comes a subject for a long-form blog. The pain point that landed with CTOs gets turned into a micro case study, and it's a closed-loop system. Outbound fuels the content strategy, and then content elevates the outbound conversion. And after 3 to 6 months of doing this, outbound can become so streamlined and your sales can start closing better and faster because the ecosystem is doing the pre-sale heavy lifting. You're not just building a lead pipeline, you're building a belief system that works in the background while you and your reps sleep or close more deals. Now here's the bottom line. Outbound without content is a pitch with no proof. Content without outbound is a stage with no audience. But when you design them to lead and feed into each other with shared messaging, belief-structured content, and a tight ecosystem, your GTM isn't a strategy, it's a machine. This is exactly how we build the GTM content engine for ourselves and our clients. It's a system that takes outbound YouTube SEO and your B2B brand and turns it into a compound interest asset that feeds pipeline, shortens sales cycles, and positions you as the obvious solution. So here's what to do next. Book a GTM strategy call with me and my team. We'll walk you through your outbound setup and map the ecosystem you need to make it actually convert better. Visit our website using the link in the description below. And if you're still on the fence, hey, just grab my GTM content blueprint that I mentioned earlier. It's the same one we've used to help B2B teams turn content into an actual sales funnel. No fluff, no guru tactics, just a free architecture. It's linked below. If your GTM playbook doesn't include belief architecture, it's not a strategy, it's a sprint. Let's build something that actually compounds.